So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy Ellen. I'm back with another reaction, man. And next up on the blacklist, we got the twisted case of Lieutenant Joe Gliniewicz. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but anyway, shout outs to that chapter. We're gonna check this case out, man. Prepare yourselves. These things can get very, very crazy and wild. That was my little disclaimer. Viewer discretion advised, all that good stuff. All right, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Join the fam. Here we go.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this whole video, we're gonna talk about the big dog. That's G.I. Joe. Big Joe head on him. Wait till you get a load of this one, right? Because he was quite the character, and this was quite the mystery, right? Twisting and turning. It was a saga, to be sure. Buckle up. Larger than life, LT Joe Gliniewicz lived and policed the town of Fox Lake, Illinois. He was an all-American hunk of badass, is what most people thought, but as we see time and time again, there was a hell of a lot more to this one than, what meets the old eyeball. Oh, spoiler alert. Let's give it a go. So, before we get to know the people, we gotta get to know the place. And that place is Fox Lake. Named so, apparently, because the shape of the lake looks like a fox. They fail to describe what kind of foxes they have up there, though. Obviously, the lake-shaped kind. It's home to about 11,000 people, and it's approximately an hour from the heart of Chicago. It's all about lakes up there, though. Are you an
Look nice, though. I can't say that I think I might have driven through Chicago maybe once when I was truck driving, though. So I don't really consider that as me getting to experience the location. So looks nice from here, man. I definitely want to visit.
Fanatic, and then get your booty to Fox Lake, the heart of the chain of lakes. I'm told there's a lot of bars, a lot of nature, and a lot of vacation homes empty most of the year. Move slowly up in Fox Lake, get your feet wet. I'm sure.
I feel like Chicago get a bad rep for like the murder rates and different things. Well, I ain't gonna say get a bad rep. If the murder rate's high, it's justifiable. But you know what I mean? You don't get to hear about the good part of Chicago because it's overshadowed by that.
Move slowly up in Fox Lake, get your feet wet. I'm sure what the ads would say. You get the picture. So this is really super interesting and all, and I could go on about Fox Lake for the next 20 minutes, but I won't, because I have a story to tell. A story that began on the 1st of September 2015. That morning, summer was on the out, much like the tourists, and autumn was on the way in. But that day it was still very hot. It would reach, by 2 p.m., 31 degrees, 88 Fahrenheit. That morning, Lieutenant Joe Gliniewicz was on his way into the Fox Lake Police Department for just another day on the rig. He was, gotta love this, just a few weeks from retirement. Life imitates art, and he was a well-liked, well-respected lad in the area. A man about town for the past almost exactly 30 years. He became a member of the Village of Fox Lake Police Department in April of 1985.
Wow.
However, that morning, as he was driving from his home in nearby Antioch, driving on his usual route into work, he saw something that he was not a fan of. He saw 3 suspicious lads near an abandoned cement plant on the edge of town, and suspected they were up to no good. He radioed in at 7:52 a.m. A few minutes later, he called in again, saying he was after them, and he called for backup. It only took responding officers a handful of minutes to arrive after him, at 8:01, small town and all that. When they did, they found Joe's car parked on the road, looked normal, but no sign of Lieutenant Joe or any ne'er-do-wells. They spread out and saw neither hide nor hair of anyone. Place was quiet as summer ends. until they heard a single gunshot.
Oh, shit.
740, what's your location?
Looks like unit 6740, checking your status.
792 on location. Try him on his cell phone, please.
Looks like units on holding, checking status on 6740.
Right now, we're looking for him.
They were unable to get through to Joe. Following the source of the gunshot, as it took them closer to the brush and the swamp, on the ground, they found a body. It was Joe Gliniewicz.
232, we got an officer down, 6732, officer down at the swamp. Send everybody you possibly can, officers down.
He was lying face down, right, and when they turned him over, blood just poured out of his nose and his mouth. He had been shot twice, though one of the shots didn't break his body armor. His gun was missing. Nearby, they found his pepper spray. It had just been used. His police baton, also nearby, and it looked like there had been a fight, some kind of struggle. His bits and bobs were basically all around the place.
Went from scene, taking the officer's sidearm, shots were fired.
Whatever happened, whoever Joe ran into, he had used everything at his disposal. Worst of all, there was no sign of any of the three men who had just murdered.
And that's the thing, like, not only is it no sign of them, all he gave was male and I think ethnicist, I can never say that word, but if they were white or black, I think that was all he gave. So you don't have him to say, okay, it was this guy, this tall, this build, this look, this what he had on. None of that you got now. You just got him here. So hopefully, you know what I'm saying, you can get after these dudes, maybe a tracker or somebody, the dogs come out, maybe the dogs can help, but you need some kind of way because now the person that got a good look at them is dead.
A police officer. So let's get to know a little bit more about G.I. Joe and his wicked sense of humor.
The perfect card.
I ain't gonna lie, that's me too. Don't send me to get a card for somebody, or I'm getting cards just like that.
The original G.I. Joe, his Facebook username, actual name Charles Joseph, was born in 1963 in Libertyville, a native Illinois boy, I don't know. He went on to high school in and would later reside in Antioch, another small town just up the road from Fox Lake. In 1980, he joined the US Army, where he got a fair few medals, fair play to him. In 84, he completed his active duty and was assigned to the National Guard, and so he decided to look for any positions with the boys in blue. And so he joined the Fox Lake Police Department in 1985, where he would remain until his death 30 years later.
Why does his face just look like it's so familiar? You know what I mean? And not familiar as in I've seen him around somewhere, just like somebody we all know. I feel like we all know somebody like him. He just has that type of face of somebody you know.
Officer Bostic stood by right here and started yelling for the kids to come to the light. I was able to locate one of the children that was hiding underneath one of the plastic play toys that were here.
In 1989, he married a woman named Melody, and together they would have 4 children, 4 boys. As a member of the force, he held a good, few positions: canine, field training, SWAT, and he became Sarge Joe in 2000. He got a few decorations during his tenure. In 2005, he was awarded Illinois State Law Enforcement Volunteer of the Year. Look at you! And he had countless recommendations about how helpful he was. But it was really in 1986, after being in the department for about a year, that's when he basically became head of the Fox Lake Police Explorer position. And that's how he became well known, respected, and loved in Fox Lake. The Police Explorer program is kind of what it sounds like. Kids, teens interested in a career in law enforcement can join up and get a taste of what it's like.
Guys, get back! Get back here towards the back real quick. Now, Glenn!
Excellent job on your cover. Oh, the rumors. You can't handle weapons like that? Give me a hand. I was just showing Hess this. Okay. Take your weapon. Let the rumors fly. Your body's the platform. Security, move! Police! What are you yelling, sweetheart?
It's like doing work experience for cops. You know, you get to do some training, some ride-alongs. They teach you how to do admin stuff, administer alcohol tests, report writing, basic training in SWAT and weapons, that sort of stuff. He was a real G.I. Joe. Sure had a look at a buzz cut to his fit, and he smoked like a chimney. It really helped tie Joe to the community and to the youth. So when Joe was murdered, you can really see how this would be a loss felt across the lake, and so the resulting manhunt would be massive.
It is a massive manhunt for 3 suspects in the murder of a suburban police officer. It is now in its 14th hour.
From the air and on the ground, a massive, intensive manhunt for the...
And they better, whoever did this better hope that when they get captured, the cameras is rolling, fam. Because if they catch you in the woods after what you just did to a cop, bro, whew, you're going to catch the beats before you make it back to them cameras, fam. I'm just telling you. Probably what's going to happen, bro. They're going to give you the beats.
Killers of a veteran police officer.
Behind me, the strip mall parking lot has been transformed into a command center with a singular goal tonight: to catch 3 alleged cop killers.
Locking doors.
Not only did Fox Lake lose a family member, I lost a very dear friend.
For hours, police have been following every lead. Calls from the public pouring in, reporting anything out of the ordinary.
He did everything by the book, and I don't know how anyone could have done this to him.
He was well known and well liked in this community where he served as a police officer for more than 3 decades.
He was an absolute great man, and this is just devastating to all of us.
Roads closed, the community on high alert, the law poured in, lock and load, cop killers on the loose. You'd swear it was Clarence Boddicker by their reaction.
Cops don't like me, so I don't like cops.
The immediate searches were fruitless. And how 3 men escaped, though, it was genuinely extremely worrying, slipping through the extensive nets set up in small Fox Lake. Joe became a hero throughout the town. There were signs of Blue Lives Matter flags, all that.
Joe was my best friend, my world, my hero, the love of my life for the last 26 and a half years.
He was probably murdered as part of, the war on cops. That's what some people were thinking. There were vigils. His funeral, there were hundreds. But no suspects. Yet. Fox Lake, in the meantime, was under lockdown. Leads, they had him. Fake suspects, they had him too. One woman told how 3 men emerged from a field and tried to steal her car. The likely suspects, she said. She was later found to be lying about that.
Several hours were wasted here today.
And if you have 3 suspects, they're going to talk to people they know.
All right, so what we know so far, y'all, this is we don't have no, because you got to think about it, fam. When a cop dies or gets killed in the line of duty, bro, people from all over are gonna come help. All you hear is, what do you need from us? What do you need from us? What do you need from us? What does your department need from us? Unlimited resources, what you need? You know what I'm saying? And they have nothing yet but a lying woman. That's interesting.
Hopefully, right?
We always talk.
Eventually, though, they did find something. They discovered Joe's gun. It was actually found right by his body. No DNA or fingerprints were found on it, though. Well, none, not Joe's.
I don't want to start side-eyeing Joe. You know what I mean? But it's starting to kind of... So they need to give us some information quickly. I'm going to start side-eyeing Joe. Like, you think he did this to himself?
That was weird, though, right? His gun was found... right beside Dan Ehrlich. I mean, the community breathed a sigh of relief. Like, whew, you know that there wasn't a killer with a cop's gun on the loose. But it's a bit like, huh? The search continued for these three men. $50,000 were offering as a reward for the capture and conviction of them. Joe was a hero, not just in Fox Lake, but across the country. Honored. One of the good guys murdered by one of the bad guys. Was he, though?
Oh, I could have did without that was he, though, man. You just seen a parade. You just seen people come out, stand on the curb with signs. I could have did without. Was he though? And I was starting to suspect that.
When Joe was killed, his entire record was released. Some of it good, a lot of it not so much, to the point where some people said if they knew this about Joe, there was no way in shit they would have sent their kids to the Fox Lake Police Explorer program. No way in hell they'd want their kids around this guy. From 1985 to well into the 2000s, he got letters of appreciation again and again and again. Sometimes from the public, about just being a sound lad, and other times from other police departments, about he helped them in various different ways. If you go through his personnel file, the first half of the over 130 pages is basically, thank you for your assistance, Joe Gliniewicz. And that was the side of Joe the public knew, and it was the side of Joe, the police were pushing after he was killed. Inside the police department, though, there was story was just... It started not long after he joined. Small potatoes. He'd often be late for work, get written warnings, pull a sickie when he was not so sicky. He didn't complete reports properly. He missed meetings. He was suspended a number of times, just for, a day at a time. Once he was found passed out drunk in his truck, but on the trawl. He was reprimanded once for not handing out enough traffic citations, only half of what the others did. Which I will say, that's a load of shite. In 2002, in light of a recent course of events, whatever that means, but I think I can guess, I'll get to it, he was busted down to sergeant. See, he had threatened to shoot a dispatcher and dump her in the lake. Honestly, it goes on. Like I said, the first half...
Whoa. How does that go unnoticed? Why does that not come out? Why do you not hear? Because we always want to go to, we try to forget the bad and push that to the back of our mind. And we let that cloud our judgment of really reviewing and looking at this case. Even I just did it before he made that comment. Was he though? I had just did it because it's no way in my mind I wanted to hear that Joe was bad.
Half of his file, essentially. Lovely stuff. Compliments. Second half is pure shite. In 2009, it culminated with anonymous members of the Fox Lake Police Department writing a letter to the mayor listing everything Joe had been doing, including having inappropriate sexual relationships with subordinates, sexual harassment, pressuring subordinates into sucking his pecker, cheating on his wife, getting kicked out of bars, grabbing women's breasts at parties. The people who wanted to expose that, they were the real good cops. So quite the history. Half of it pretty decent. The other half dog shit, and I couldn't give two shits about the decent part. Things came to a head in March 2014. A new village administrator, responsible for village funds, budget, all that. She wanted to look into the Police Explorer program to see where the finances, the money was going. You can guess what happened next. Joe was using the Explorer's post as his own personal piggy bank. His mortgage, his vacations, his children's college funds. Hey, you need money to fix your car? Here you go. He was flashing the cash. He wasn't diverting the money into his own bank account, but he was spending it like it was. So when the admin, they wanted to see bank statements, they wanted to see receipts. Joe freaked out. And it wasn't just him. His family were all too aware of what he was doing. They were enjoying the benefits of it. He began asking for money from one of his sons to put back into the account. He wanted to try and cover it up. by saying the Explorer's account gave out loans, and then they'd be paid back. He began to panic more and more. He wanted to arrest her for a DUI. He wanted to plant drugs on her. And he mentioned a swamp to the south, where he knew where to hide things. He also contacted the leader of a motorcycle gang about having her,
Yeah, it sounded like to me, he took himself out. Everything was closing in on him. The walls was caving in. And he figured if he died in the line of duty, probably, he could leave his family something.
So maybe he tried to borrow money to cover this up from the wrong people. Okay, and it ended badly. Something ended badly for Joe, probably related to the fraud. That was the word, and the word is the bird. The investigation into who those 3 men were continued for another 2 months, until early November 2015, and that was when the police, they were ready to announce their findings.
We're here this morning to wrap up the investigation into the death of Lieutenant Charles Joseph Gliniewicz. This extensive investigation has concluded with an overwhelming amount of evidence that Gliniewicz's death was a carefully staged suicide.
Whoa! 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 Game changer.
We have determined this staged suicide was the end result of extensive criminal acts that Gliniewicz had been committing. In fact, he was under increasing levels of personal stress from scrutiny of his management of the Fox Lake Police Explorer Unit. We have the highest degree of confidence in the facts which led us to this conclusion, which Lake County Coroner Dr. Rudd will confirm. The investigation found Gliniewicz had been stealing and laundering money from the Fox Lake Police Explorer Post. This had been occurring over the past 7 years. Gliniewicz was also found to have forged signatures and official documents. Thousands of dollars were used by Gliniewicz for personal purchases, travel expenses, mortgage payments, personal gym memberships, adult websites, facilitating personal loans, and unaccounted cash withdrawals.
He had shot himself to try and cover up the crimes, or we saw no way out. Joe staged his death to look like there had been a struggle, a fight. He ditched his stuff around the bush, shot himself though the armor dampened it, called for backup, and when they arrived he shot himself again. But he wanted his death to look like this.
Why, you gotta be some kind of great cop. Come in here all by yourself. You probably don't think I'm a very nice guy. Do you?
Claudia,
Is this RoboCop?
think you're slime.
There were no signs of a struggle actually on Joe, although he kind of threw his shit around. His clothing, like, for example, was just fine. There was no defensive wounds on him. In fact, he was in great condition, other than being dead. Now, there are still those out there, though, who don't believe that he killed himself. There's some kind of conspiracy. Ooh, a fucking reptoids did it or something. He was gonna, expose chemtrails, the hero, and Majestic 12, who live under the ice. They came out, hacked his bank account, and then they killed him, Ooh.
Wholeheartedly believe he was murdered.
And to say otherwise?
Disrespectful, hurtful, irresponsible.
I don't believe that it was suicide.
I believe it was a hoax perpetrated on the community. I think there is something very deep and very corrupt going on here.
It's got to be tough. Your whole community is torn. Some people say hoax. Some people say they believe that he committed the suicide. That's rough on a town like that, because now you start looking at officers a particular type of way. You start looking at your local government officials. You look at your, Everybody now, you're like, and that's never good for a city.
In fact, emergency responders, when they arrived on the scene and found what they found, they immediately recognized it as a possible, probable suicide. The police knew right away they were hunting the Invisible Man. So why the extensive search? Money. Everyone there was paid, overtime a lot of them. Plus they wanted their hero cop. Well, okay, maybe I'm a bit harsh there. They did have to, cross their T's and dot the I's, and who knows, maybe they genuinely did believe a killer could have been out there and killed Joe. The death of an officer always has to be taken seriously, but if they already suspected it was self-inflicted, they certainly wanted to make a show.
Many who live in Fox Lake, who knew him, are grappling with the reality his was not a random death.
It's hard to picture him doing that. I wouldn't, it almost seems like he doesn't sure.
I think it's disastrous what happened.
It's disgusting that he would actually cause that whole scene.
Gone are the signs of support outside Maureen Kelly's bar.
I was just aggravated. Every ribbon I saw, I'm like, take those ribbons down.
The feeling is anger and betrayal. These officers feel betrayed. It's clear that Joe Gliniewicz did not represent all the Fox Lake officers. He didn't represent the Fox Lake community.
In the years that followed, wasn't over. In 2016, Joe's wife Melody was charged with multiple counts of unlawful use of charitable funds and money laundering. There were thousands of texts between her and Joe, showing she was fully involved in the fraud, going from September 2009 until his death in 2015. Her trial, it actually hasn't gone ahead yet though, still waiting on that one. It was due in November 2021. As of January 2022, nothing to be found on it. And that's the story of G.I. Joe, hero cop, turned G.I. joke. Ultimately, it is tragic that Joe couldn't see a way out, even though he wasn't the person people thought he was. Obviously, the community were very upset. They felt lied to about who he really was, his real character. He wasn't a hero, everyone thought. He himself was full sure he was a hero. Far from it. I guess the lesson here, the real lesson to learn, is don't give yourself a nickname if you can't live up to it. Yeah, pretty sure that's it.
Man, and this is the thing, man, and especially in a world where so many different, the law enforcement already has a lot to deal with, trying to get rid of the bad ones. You know what I mean? And they're fighting to try to keep their you know what I mean, themselves in the good graces of the public. Because not all cops are bad cops, and then you have something like this happen, and then you go, see, somebody goes, see? That's why we can't trust them. And it's just like the one bad cop spoils the bunch type of thing, man. But listen, man, this is crazy, fam, to think this could possibly happen and this could possibly go down. And what if somebody would have been in the woods, man, and got blamed for that and possibly even shot or something like that because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. When he did that to himself, they just happened to be in the woods camping or something, and the cops ran up on them, thought they did it. Scary out here, man. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Stick around and stay tuned, man. Until next one, I'm gone. Peace.